Hey everybody, Bob here. Welcome back to the show, episode 386. Today we're going to be talking about the way that you sell. And so I want to share with you what I think is a really powerful analogy of a doctor. And so what I want you to think about is, what would it look like if you sold like a doctor in your business? See, I think this whole concept, this idea, provides us with really a roadmap for success in terms of the way that we should be having sales conversations in our business. And so I want to kind of share this analogy with you, and I want to talk you through this. And I think for many of you, if you're somebody that has always struggled with just the concept of selling and what you think that means or what it looks like, I think this will be a really powerful reframe on this topic. Let's dive into this analogy of a doctor. So I think that when we think of the way that a doctor actually operates seeing a patient, I think this provides us with a really good blueprint for how we should be approaching our sales conversations. So here's what I want you to imagine. I want you to imagine that you go to a doctor and this happens. You sit down and you say, the doctor says, "So what's the problem?" And you say, "Well, doc, I just been coughing a lot, right? It's that time of year." And midway through the sentence, the doctor cuts you off and says, "Listen, say no more. Take 2 pills 3 times a day and you'll be fine." Now, my question to you is this: how do you feel at that moment? Probably not that great. See, even if the doctor's right, and that's what you should do, it's nearly impossible for you to trust that that prescription, because there's no way the doctor could have enough information to really make the correct recommendation. So what he did was he prescribed without taking the time to diagnose. Now, in the medical world, that's malpractice. You do that enough times, you don't have a doctor's license anymore. But this is what most of you do in your business, right? You talk to somebody, you see somebody post about a problem. "I need to lose some weight." Or, you mention to somebody, "I need to lose some weight. What's the problem?" And they say, "I need to lose some weight." And then you're like, "Say no more. I've got the perfect solution. No other program does what our program does. Here's all the things we can do. Here's why our product is different or better." And so what I want you to do is put yourself in the shoes of the prospect. They feel the same way. See, here's what the prospect thinks of you when you are prescribing without diagnosing. See, that's the key. Taking the time to really diagnose before prescribing, that's what transformational selling is. But when you prescribe without taking the time to diagnose, here's what the prospect thinks of you. Number one, they think you're not friendly and you're not empathetic, that you don't care about them. And now I know this is hard for some of you to hear because you do care and you want to help. People say to me all the time, "Bob, I want to help people so bad, but I'm not getting customers. I'm not building my team." And I'm like, well, it's because you have an approach to selling that's not aligned with your value of helping. You're not taking the time to ask the right questions, to understand their problems. And so when this is the place that you're selling from, there's little chance that you're going to actually convince the prospect that your solution is right for them, right? Because you're not speaking their language. So what I want you to think about is this. What if you approach sales conversations the same way a great doctor approached seeing a patient? So I Googled this because I was just curious. This is the diagnostic process of a doctor. Number one, and think about it. We've all been, our annual exams. We've all been through this. What does a doctor do? They sit down with you and they go through a series of things. First thing they do is they perform a clinical history, an interview, right? They ask you tons of questions about your background, your parents, the medications you take, all these different things, right? A long list of questions. And they're just sitting there. They got their pen in hand. They got their clipboard, and they're just asking a question. They're writing it down. Sometimes they ask a follow-up question because but think about what's their energy. They're present. They're not talking. They're not quiet. They're asking a question. They're listening. They're asking follow-up questions to understand more, right? They're really making a goal to understand you. Now, when most of us sell, our goal is to be understood. That's the transactional method of conversations. We just want you to know how great our thing is. See, a doctor, they don't do that. So what comes next? And then they conduct the physical exam. And they go through, check your blood pressure, right? Do all this stuff, look in your ears, eye, all that stuff. And then if necessary, if they think that there might be an issue, they'll perform diagnostic testing. And then the last thing they'll do is they'll refer to or they'll consult with other physicians if they feel they need to, if it's outside of their area of expertise. And they do all of these things. They're accumulating all this information that may be relevant to understanding your health problem before making a diagnosis. And this is the reason why when a doctor does actually diagnose us and they prescribe something to us, it's the reason why it comes with so much trust and so much authority. We don't question it. And it's because of the things they do prior to the prescription or the diagnosis. And so how could you apply this to your business? Think about the way that you talk to prospects. Let's start with diagnosing before trying to prescribe. And prescribing in this particular instance is offering your solution, whether it's your products or your business, right? And so let's go back to the example I used earlier. You see a post on Facebook. Somebody says, I just lost my job. I need to find work. Okay. Now here's what's funny. We see this kind of stuff all the time, especially in this economy today, right? And I see this and, for me, because I've been around this profession long enough and I just know the way people are that do this kind of stuff, I'll see somebody post something like that on my Facebook, man, and I'm like, all right, I just feel like, let me go get the popcorn and let me sit back and let me just watch the train wreck unfold in front of me. And I'll just sit there and I'll start refreshing. And before I know it, 2 comments, check your DMs. Hey, I got to talk to you, right? Because every single social seller and network marketer that hasn't been trained in the way that we teach, that is transactional, that they see that as time to pitch my thing. And, and so here's what they'll do. They'll say, hey, I've got the perfect thing for you. Here's what it is. You got to do it. Here's my story. Here's why it'd be great. So they offer their solution. They prescribe without taking the time to really diagnose and understand. See, they don't understand here are the things, knowing what I know today, here are the things that I would want to know before I even offer my thing. How did you lose your job? Right? Let's take some time to meet them where they are. They're not ready for you to pitch their thing. Even though they said it, they're not emotionally connected to you in that conversation. You haven't built trust. Here's how you build trust. Meet them where they are. Hey, so I saw your post. I'm so sorry to hear that happened. How did it happen, or what happened? Right? How did you lose your job? Oh, that's got to be tough. So how are you feeling about everything? Right? And then how about this? So you mentioned that you're looking for work. Could I ask you this? What are you looking for? Is there anything specific that you think when you think of an ideal job or career? What are some of the things you think you might want? What's important for you to have in a new job or career? See, for me, I'm going to ask all those questions and I'm going to get that information before I even offer my thing. And that's the thing that will make me different. And that's the reason why somebody's talking to you, just like when you're with a doctor, there's a certain level of authority and trust that comes with it because of the way they communicate to you. You need to communicate to people the exact same way, right? You need to learn how to start slowing down in your sales conversations so you can sell faster, right? When you do a better job of finding the problems and understanding people, you'll build trust and relationships faster, and you'll sell faster and you'll sell better. This is what I'm saying we need to do, right? This is the piece that's missing for so many of you. So I wanted to share that with you today. I thought that was just a powerful kind of analogy. And I want you to think about the way that you have sales conversations in your business and ask yourself, what could I learn from a doctor? How could I start taking more time to diagnose before I prescribe to make sure that when I do make that recommendation, that people are looking at it in a very different way. So that's my message to you today. Hope you got some value out of today's episode. As always, I love and appreciate all of you for being here. I'll see you soon on the next episode.